I didn't even say welcome, family. You gotta forgive me. If you hear me now, I didn't actually go live. I had the intro, so let me give you a minute left of the intro. Hold on, where's that thing gone? Is it gone? I'm just gonna give you. There you go. We give it. Yeah, sorry, family. I usually give people time to log in and it comes up on their feed, but I didn't press go live. I'm not too well to be honest, so maybe that's what it is. All right. Oh gosh, that's very strong. Right, don't forget to tell a friend to tell a friend we go live in a few seconds. Is Brother Raven, also known as Rap Raven. I'll be your host this evening, this night. Depending where you are, I guess. I was actually. Let me put it up. There you go. So yeah, tell a friend we're live. Fantastic. Sorry about that. I usually give you guys more time to actually log in. Tell a friend we're live. All that good stuff. Blah blah blah. All right. Yeah, maybe I did that 2 shots. So what time? I guess we should have started anyway. Really cool. All right. Well, let's open up all the fantastic stuff that we have to do, and I'll go extra slow, just to let people log in. Screen share. Here we go. I think it's this one. All right, family. Welcome to the Black Bear Broadcast. I'm your host, Brother Raven, and this is the 240th show. So I believe. Let me put that to the side. Put that up. Put that there. Things get in the way. Oh, no. Okay, that's better. I guess. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So welcome all. And you know what I haven't done? I haven't done that. Let me do what I always do. Sorry, I'm taking time. So yeah, this is the 240th show. That's 240 attempts at work with the community to find solutions, which is important and good. So do not forget to tell a friend we are live. So I'm going to try to do 2 things at once. I'm going to try to log into another software as well as do this. So, Black Betterment Building, don't forget to follow the Instagram page, Black Betterment Building, which is the Instagram page. Well, we're going to start as we always start. And that's talking about the triple tragedies. That's right. The triple tragedies. So, what are they? I hear some people say who are new to the place, future new, future time. Well, let's go over. They are. Let me just move this out of the way. I've got so many windows open. Sorry, family. Here it is. So that is white supremacy, anti-black racism, and the Ma'afa. I think I might be on a podcast this weekend, so I'll probably mention those. I think it's about identity, apparently, if it's still on. There we go. Let me just. Okay, so the triple tragedies, but those triple tragedies have caused what we know as the double dilemma. You see, so the double dilemma is there, and what that is that we are despised, and we are disorganized. Who are we? Let me mute that, please. Who are we? Well, that is black people, the ABC community. There you go. Let me just quickly pin that message. There you go. So now I can get out of this. Message has been pinned. Close down. There we go. Boom. So that means if there's a double dilemma, what does that mean? That means we need to have a single solution. So you're thinking, oh my goodness, what is that single solution? That's what you're thinking, right? That's what I thought you were thinking. Yeah. Well, the single solution is very simple, really. It's a lifestyle of black betterment. And that's a lifestyle of black people continuously helping black people. It sounds very simple, and it is very simple. But sometimes simple things become complex in a community that hasn't recovered from many tragedies known as the Ma'afa. Oh, that's nice. I feel like Bill Cosby drinking tea, but Coca-Cola. That's if you remember Bill Cosby adverts back in the day. Probably don't know, it's too young. And also he went to jail, so you probably don't check up on him and all that. Anyway, where are we? The 2 types. So, no, we'll skip that one. So, yeah, we tend to focus on black families, black economics, and black health. It's very important. All those 3 things, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to focus on that, no different today, but we're going to, we've got some topics to cover. The link is there. It's actually, it is a community show, and any brother sister is welcome to come on. Of course, they can, as long as they uphold the 4D values. And you're thinking, what are those 4D values? Well, it's here. There's discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. If you can have those 4D values, then you're laughing. Really, it makes helping the community just that teensy more easier, just a little bit. And if we can try to use any kind of derogatory language, if possible, and that's where case study. And if you hear any derogatory language in the videos I play, 1,000 for the emphasis, But sometimes we don't edit, we miss certain things. But it is played quite late. Anyway, so the two topics today are black barbers, blood pressure checks. We find out if barbers and salons, help check blood pressure in your area. And do black women buy too many expensive bags? We discussed the spending habits of black women and if Africa should start producing luxury handbags. Little almost seem like two sentences not connected there, but they are, and it comes from the Chinese thing. There's an issue down in China, so thought talk about China if we can segue black people into it. Just that's what you do, isn't it? So which one should? Well, no, we're not going to start with those two. Normally we start with some random things that we came across in the interweb. So I usually waffle on for an hour or so, and then we get guests on. So and the two topics should cover that. But people can jump on at any time if they wish. Just give their thoughts and opinions. But let's talk to where is it? So let's see some of the stuff that's not part of the topic, but it's just random stuff that came by. If there's anything, I probably haven't got any. To be honest, it's probably just one thing. It really is. Is that what I down low? Oh, well, we can talk about it. It's still it's quite important. So I hope it doesn't. Maybe
is defined in law came.
So in the UK, more so in Scotland, they've passed a law to define women. So they've had issues with how women are defined and if women are allowed to play sports and go in the changing room and all that stuff there. And something we wanted to talk to. Big up on Cold Barbers Studios. Big up. It's funny. It's funny when you said, "Hey, you leave us alone, man." Obviously, you're a man because you jumped on last a few weeks back. Well, I actually thought, is he talking about the women, as in the handbags? Well, no, he's a barber. Isn't he? There you go. You're definitely a person I need to speak to them. You're actually look at that. It was meant to be fantastic. Anyway, but yeah. So back to the whole who's a woman and stuff. So I would have really liked more or any trans or LGBT members of the black community to come and express how it is to be in that community. Also, the whole identification kind of stuff. And I would have liked to really understood it more and also give case study and then maybe do parallels. Like, is it similar to people who want to be white or black? Could that also happen? Transracialism. Who knows? And that's interesting. But in Scotland and that, in Scotland and that, this is what's happened. But also in Britain, I think it was. Yeah, and it was started by a Scottish thing. So let's listen to this video.
To the UK's highest court today. And it was these women's rights campaigners who won their long-running battle with the Scottish government. Supreme Court judges unanimously ruled in favour of the group for Women Scotland, agreeing only people born female should be recognised as women in the UK Equality Act.
The judges have said what we always believed to be the case, that women are protected by their biological sex, that sex is real, and that women can now feel safe that services and spaces designated for women are for women, and we are enormously grateful to the Supreme Court for this ruling.
The ruling centred on the meaning of the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act and whether that included transgender women with a document called a gender recognition certificate.
The unanimous decision of this court is that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex. But we counsel against reading this judgment as a triumph of one or more groups in our society at the expense of another. It is not.
The judges also said transgender people still have their rights protected in law under the Equality Act, but there are concerns about how today's ruling will affect single-sex spaces and how the clarification in law will be reflected in practice.
I think it's a wrong judgment, and as I've said, I think it significantly raises the prospect of the UK failing its obligations under the European Convention of Human Rights. No doubt the implications of this will be worked through in the days and weeks that come, and trans people should take advice from the various support organisations that exist to help them.
Women's rights are human rights.
While some women's groups celebrated today's ruling in London, many trans people have expressed their fears of what comes next. The government, however, has said it brings clarity and confidence for women, as well as for service providers such as hospitals and sports clubs. Faye Barker, ITV News.
All right. So that was yeah. So I mean, yeah. So how do you feel about that? Women, black women, we could talk about that. So anyway, that was the thing. Brother Lee, there was Brother Lee, I think it was. Yeah, you can come back in if you want. I think we lost you, but you always want to come back. Well, now we've got that's the only other video I've got. So now we can start. So maybe we should start on the barber stuff. So what am I talking about? Let's we go back to the good stuff. Remove. There you go. I'll get rid of that as well. All right, where are we? Here we go. See about barbers' blood pressure checks. We find that if barbers and saloons around help black blood pressure in your area, help check. Sorry, zoom in. Can't see that. Yeah, help check blood pressure in your area. So yeah, what I came across is in America actually. What was happening was they have some initiatives a few years back of checking, because black men go there and they're there, you're sitting down, we can check your blood pressure. And that, so many black men don't check their blood pressure, especially when you hit like the 30, 40, 50 kind of, it's when they really want to check you, make sure that you haven't had high blood pressure for a long time, maximizing the chance of you having heart attacks, strokes, and many other things, organ failures maybe. But that was an issue. So I saw it, and then I thought, that would be a cool, it hasn't been done in the UK, and I think it has, but obviously I go to the barber, of course, but I don't know if they're doing it there. So I was just wondering, is that something that we're doing there? But it might be a good idea. But let's check, let's sneak peek at what way it is, just so just me waffling. Barber blood pressure check. I've got 3 videos, but you'll watch all 4 of them, it says. Help it, please.
In high numbers from heart disease, with more than 40% of adults diagnosed with cardiovascular problems. One cause is high blood pressure. Reporter Blake Bernard stopped by a Phoenix barbershop where they're hoping to inspire a healthy change.
For many African-American men, the barbershop is a second home, and the barbers are viewed as wisdom bearers and leaders. Now they're leveraging their role to become community health advocates.
Hey, we got grown man popcorn.
Anthony Gathers opened AG's Hair Center in 1996 simply because he liked to cut hair. Now, 20 years later with 2 locations, he fully understands what the barbershop means to his community.
This is, more a greeting place and a meeting place for young men and older men, kids and everything else.
Here in these chairs at AG's, regular customers chat with their barbers about everything from sports to politics. And that creates a place for them to also discuss things like personal health.
The American Heart Association approached Gathers a few years ago with a simple idea: installing blood pressure monitors at the shop for customers to use.
Black men don't like to go to the doctor at all. We're all right, we're tough, we're rough, and some of us don't have the insurance to go, and if we do, we feel that we're invincible sometimes.
Olga Davis has examined healthcare issues for years and is convinced the barbershop is a place where change can happen.
It's a space for men to come and to engage one another and to talk to one another, have discourse in ways that they usually don't.
Big up, brother Dominic. Yeah, many black men, many men, but generally black people, I should say, really, especially hitting a certain age, suffer from high blood pressure, and then there's certain things you can do to try to keep it in check, but some people they have to then more medication kind of stuff. But medication should never be done in isolation. It should always be done in routine of life. So decreasing salt intake, decreasing but one of the fears is if you become high blood pressure, it might also trigger pre-diabetic and diabetic kind of stuff as well. So you want to watch your sugar intake anyway. You want to make sure that there's simple solutions we try to push forward. Like if you're from the Caribbean, you might eat rice and stuff. So white rice is quick to break down the sugar very quickly. So maybe trying to get brown, red, or black rice. Just look at the staples. Try to what else is there? Get more potassium in your diet. Greens and stuff like that. Very important. Drink water. Drink regular water. That's very important to flush your body. What else? You want to be also, if you're not, you want to walk around more if you can. Also, if you can maybe get into a sport of jogging, sometimes you can incorporate. So maybe if you take the car or you don't leave your house because you work from home, you try to incorporate going shopping and walking and carrying heavy, carrying the bags home, all that kind of stuff. Sugar is a killer, but the main issue is yes, salt is the main issue. Yeah, of course, that's the thing, and obviously there's things that have high salt, and also they have very very bad salt, like kind of Saxon kind of white salt. Anything white is generally evil when it comes to life and putting things in your body. But so yeah, white salt is definitely. But then there's obviously superior salt like sea salt and Himalayan salt. But generally, a lower salt intake is what you want to do. Processed foods is a problem, and ultra processed foods is a problem because of the amount of salt they put in there. They always say try to cook at home more than going out to the restaurant because you have no idea how much they put in there. Or if you cook from home, you can moderate it. It depends on how intentional it be. But generally, you can buy a blood pressure checker for £20 in your chemist, and it's good to check yourself. And if you go past, mess my memory saying. Now there's two numbers. One has to be 120, below 120, and one has to be below 80. And I can't remember what the words were, but I do know that some people actually have low blood pressure, which is a different thing altogether, right? But this is mainly high blood pressure issue we're dealing with. We say evil coconut water and milk, white. Oh yeah. White are very good for you. White and very good. Well, no, coconut. Coconut. Yeah, coconut's good. And you're talking about coconut flesh. That's good. So that's something that's white. But then the irony is the word coconut and how it's used in the historical context, whatever. But yeah, that's a good thing. But I think generally starchy kind of stuff, white rice. It's also more so the kind of ultra processed things like bread. If you I think you want to get whole food bread, a whole meal. And I think sourdough is quite good, but sourdough, wholemeal, maybe anything that's brown generally, and they keep the fiber in there and they don't bleach it out and get rid of it to make it last longer, to make it easier to produce or whatever. So you want to try that if you can. So sometimes just converting, because remember you're eating every day. So if you're eating every day, you want to make 3 to 2 times a day maybe. You want to make sure that you're getting the best, as much as possible. So those things can help. And obviously trying to walk more, train more, and do exercise. These things are important. These things are very important. The thing with, what part of the triple tribes that we're trying to work on is black health. And it is quite startling how many black people suffer from diabetes, high blood pressure, hypertension, I think it's called, and some other things that are quite unique, we covered sickle cell a few weeks back, but there is, in the black community, and there's certain things that can be either kept under control or never happen and prevented if the lifestyle is maintained, and that's something that we should really do more of an effort to promote that. But back to the video.
In any other space.
And others are becoming interested in the Arizona.
For those joining, we're talking about barbers who have blood pressure machines in their barbers, so people get their test while they're in the haircut as an option. I was thinking, could that be done in England? I think it has been done in England. I think, but Mark's the question.
Experiment.
Individuals calling the barber shops from Detroit, from Columbus, Ohio, I think as far as Florida.
In Phoenix, Gathers has seen it inspire individual change.
Some people go and put the cuff on themselves and they want to know where they're at. Or if somebody doesn't know, they say, sure, take my blood pressure, and then we educate them.
One side note, the American Heart Association says nearly half of African-American women suffer from cardiovascular disease. So Davis hopes to expand this program into beauty salons. Blake Bernard, Cronkite News.
Yeah, I think that's, try to tackle the places that black people go to, relax or vanity or whatever. Yeah, it's good. That's good. I've never thought about that. That's quite a good thing. They tried it over there. They would try it here. But yeah, it's something we have to talk about the consistent challenges that the black community goes through all over the world. So that's why I'm so happy that part of the Triple Tribes is black health, like making sure health is well, all that good stuff. Yeah. So anyway, let's look at over. The question is, what do you do after the blood pressure test? Right. Yeah, and that's true. So maybe in the barbers, they've got pictures of Muhammad Ali and women. Not really. Well, some maybe famous 70s women. So I don't know. All pictures of Africa usually the ones I go. But maybe we could posters of foods to eat, information on training and water consumption, and ultra processed foods and salt intake and things to replace sugar and salt with. So things like that. Talking about you got to get we getting protein from beans and soaking the beans overnight, whatever. You know, um, um, and then also information on medication as well, because there's strength in medication. So they like there's different names and I don't remember them, whatever, but I do know that when you go to your doctors, they'll recommend certain things, whatever. But what you want to do is you want to see how have you in your lifestyle change, are you seeing improvement in your blood pressure? And if not, then you'll probably have to go to the doctors. You probably have to go for medication, whatever. Unless they tell you, look, mate, you got the medication, whatever it is. But yeah, usually when in England, when you hit like 30, 40, you have to go for and that they do like hypertension tests. I'm sure. So yeah, but you can do it yourself. And also, these guys are going to the barbers, but you can buy it yourself for £20 or cheaper. I mean, that might even be like a great business idea, like a black hypertension machine, and obviously you brand it. Maybe Black Betterment branded one, but generally, just like something that's such a good idea. That is a very good idea. That's a good idea. Should we? I wonder what it look like. Like, how do you brand that? It's not bad. All right, cool. So this is one more video. Where are we? Hold on. Present video. So another one. This one? What this one?
Visiting doctor to get your blood pressure checked might be stressful and time-consuming, but if you could get a checkup at your regular barbershop instead, that's the idea behind a recent study in Los Angeles where pharmacists are working with 52 barbershops to try to help African-American men who have higher rates of high blood pressure than other ethnic groups. Here's VOA's Faith Lapidus.
Mark Sims goes to his barbershop for more than a shave and a haircut. He's one of 319 African-American men who take part in this project. Like many other participants, he says the program made him aware of the importance of checking his blood pressure on a regular basis.
This program saved my life. This program motivated me to help myself out and to help others in my community, who might have high blood pressure, or didn't know that they had high blood pressure, to go get themselves checked out.
High blood pressure puts people at greater risk of strokes and heart attacks. Many don't even know they have the condition. But barber Eric Mohammed says bringing tests to places they visit regularly can change that.
It takes all of maybe 3 to 5 minutes to take the blood pressure reading. So after I finish my client, I would strap the blood pressure cuff on them and give them their blood pressure reading. I always said if throughout this entire program, if we can just save one life, we won.
Dr. Ronald Victor, a cardiologist at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, says barbershop-based intervention is key.
On average, the men in our study get their hair cut every 2 weeks by the same barber and do so for over a decade. So I think I'm a pretty nice doctor and have pretty loyal patients, but nothing like that. And so it really shows that the barbershop is a social hub for black men, and it's also a great place to add on blood pressure management, which requires follow-up over time.
He says a smaller study a few years ago at 17 barbershops showed only modest improvements.
A lot of the men in the study were working 2 jobs to make ends meet. And it's not only difficult, but for a lot of the men, it'd just be impractical to make, to say, well, I'll come see the doctor 3 weeks from Wednesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Some of the men's jobs just don't have that flexibility.
This study includes pharmacists on site to prescribe medication, and nearly 2/3 of the men who saw them lowered their blood pressure. For writer Faiza El Masri, I'm Faith Lapidus, VOA News.
All right, so those join now. We're looking at an initiative that happened in America 6 years ago. Might still be going on. And I think I've got an article here that it's from 2024. Barbers test blood pressure to fight inequality, and that's August 2024. A pair of barbershops in South London are offering customers free blood pressure tests to tackle undiagnosed health issues amongst Black and Asian. Let me give you a copy so you guys can follow it. So yeah, so that's all I could just say. So just a bit. And we're joined by is that Brother Lee? Is that Brother Lee? Am I correct in saying that's Brother Lee?
Yeah. Sorry about that, Rap Raven. Greetings, bro.
Greetings. And is it correct in saying you actually are a professional barber?
Yeah, of course, 100%.
There you go. So were you aware of this kind of initiative, either in England or America, of barbers checking clients' blood pressure?
Nah, I've no idea about all that stuff, and it's definitely a good idea, Raven, to be fair. Obviously, as long as you're trained up to do it, but yeah, I don't see the issue in it still, to be fair.
Yeah, so I mean, what it is I mean, a YouTube video should help barbers if they're interested. And basically, there's a machine that costs £20. You put it on the arm, and then you press a button, and then it just squeezes the arm for like 10 seconds, and it gives you a reading. And then basically they're saying that here's what we want people to be in this area, this like blah blah blah. So that's kind of how it works.
To be honest, I think I've got one. I've actually got one because my missus had one. I think I've got one somewhere at home, so it might be something that I might start thinking about doing. To be fair,
I mean,
I'll have to try and dig it up.
The European Jewish doctor, whatever, he was saying that he's a doctor and he has patients for a few years, but barbers might have it even longer, from a decade of seeing the same barber, because you get used to the guy who does your hair. So you might have more.
It's funny actually. It's actually funny because barbers in older times used to do other stuff like dentistry and all sorts of stuff, innit? So barbering actually has a history.
Yeah. So obviously, it takes time for to let a person trust someone to be around them and make them look a certain way. So yeah. I mean, it's funny because it's one of the few professions, even for me, that I think I'm 100% dedicated to Black businesses when it comes to barbers. Like I've never used, you know what I mean? I've never used a non-Black barber in my life. And there was this one time at sea, and there was a white woman, and she was the only available hairdresser because it wasn't on land. But when it comes to being in the UK, whatever, I've only ever had a Black barber. So maybe that's.
But this is why I never feel that energy that Black folk don't support Black businesses because of where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would say about 90% of my clients are Black. So
yeah.
There's no issue there for me.
And would you say 10% of them are Asian?
White and Asian.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's cool. So yeah,
I'm trying to get quite a few Asians, to be fair, but not in drones. But nobody. I'm pitching quite a few, to be fair.
Yeah, I see. To be honest, I do see one or two white guys and one or two Asians, but probably more recently Asians and North Africans I might see more of, maybe. But you're right, around about 5-10% number.
But you see, the thing is, when it comes to white and Asian, they respect Black barbers for fades and stuff like that. So if they want fades and that, they will see in a black chair.
Yeah. True. So for those joining, we're talking about blood pressure checks in barbers. Oh, it sounds like it has. I hope you guys can still hear me. Yes, there you go. Good. Yeah, Black barbers blood pressure checks. In America, there was an initiative to check blood pressure in clients, and I think England has done it. Good to know if anyone around does it or might think of doing it. Some of the guys are saying it's a life-saving thing, because how blood pressure works is, even if you were to have high blood pressure, it isn't something to really feel doom and gloom about, because what is happening is your blood pressure is high for such a long time, i.e. 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever it might be, depending on the person, that your organs are going through that constant strain. So what they're going to try to do is lower it, and also make your body stronger to defend it from it. And that way, knowing you can change your lifestyle, and you can change it relatively quickly, and then change your eating habits, training habits, drinking habits. And before you know it, you've got, and then obviously they might recommend some tablets to here, there, whatever. And then you can fix it. Obviously, also the things you eat. We were talking about trying to decrease starchy white stuff like white rice and white bread and replace it with more whole grain, whole food stuff. And obviously stay away from the ultra processed foods if possible. And that's the thing. Sometimes when you're young, people don't tell you, and they do tell you, but it's not in a way that you understand. But through eating certain things every day, it's gradually being down. So that's why health is wealth and all that good stuff there. Boom, boom, boom. So yeah, well, we're gonna move on to unless there's anyone that wants to ask any questions because we have a live barber on the show now. But unless anyone wants to ask questions about that or the concept, feel free. We're gonna move on to the next topic. The thing is, I wanted to cover another topic, but we'll do the next one. But let me actually play. I just need to go do something. So let me play one video about barbers. I think it'll work. I hope it'll work. Because I need 2 minutes to sort something out. Hold on. Oh, that's down. Let's try this now.
Late-breaking trial.
Take that back.
The late-breaking trial today had a study looking at blood pressure reduction in black barbershops. This was a very novel study, and that's why it was a late-breaking trial and why it was probably in the New England Journal of Medicine released today. So there were 319 patients that the group randomized in barbershops. Let's ask the question of why. We know that African American men have the highest rate of hypertension-related mortality, and reaching that population is difficult. It's also been shown that coming to a patient.
This is actually quite an issue because I think just like back in the days, or even now with the whole cigarette stuff, and I think when you're part of a community, people just accept death, and they put it down to age and stuff. But there's certain things that could be easier or prevented. And this lady has just spoken about the mortality rate connected to, long time living with hypertension. There's also the study that needs to be demonstrating about why Black people have it. There's so many reasons why, and if you usually this is connected by there's things that's connected to it, which is stress, eating habits, I guess lack of exercise. What else? Trying to figure some other stuff, but stress. But then also how stress happens, like racism and struggling to make ends meet and being all that can actually raise your blood pressure. That's why when you go to the doctors, they try to keep you calm because they don't want you there's something called white coat syndrome where just seeing a white doctor makes you have high, you might just get on edge. So they try to make you relax, and that's why they're saying the barber, you're more relaxed. You're in there joking about football and life and stuff, and just check your blood pressure. So yeah, so let's carry this to this lady before we move to the next topic.
Patient in the community can have a better effect on getting patient compliance, adherence, and even recognizing that they have the disease. So the barbers themselves would work with the patient once they were recognized to have high blood pressure. So the team would come out and measure their blood pressure. When they were recognized to have elevated blood pressure, they were then randomized into a treatment arm in which the barber recommended going to the primary care for treatment of high blood pressure versus an in-barbershop treatment. So the pharmacist, a doctoral pharmacist in hypertension, would come to the barbershop. So each couple weeks when the men would go back for their haircut, they would get their blood pressure checked, the pharmacist would up-titrate the medication, and they had point-of-care blood testing to check for kidney function. So instead of the patient coming to the physician, the team is going to the patient. So this is novel. It changes the paradigm. It also changes the paradigm in the whole team is as important, if not more important, than the physician. Now the pharmacist worked with the primary care in the treatment, and by law in different states they have to do that. Pharmacists can't prescribe. So there was a team approach, and I think that's important. But what they found was that group that had the in-barbershop treatment, if you will, with a pharmacist every 2 weeks had a dramatic 27% reduction, 9% in the other group. something that you haven't seen in other trials. Obviously, that's a pretty intensive thing to bring the whole team out into the community. The coordination required is significant. What to do with patients who don't have insurance, and that's more of a national political question. Hopefully it will be solved. So it's...
Yeah, over there, the healthcare is very different. And I wish them well and all that kind of stuff. Okay, we'll skip this now. But yeah, so we were looking at... Oh, what's that? Remove. There you go. So we're looking at black barbers blood pressure checks. We find out if barbers and salons help check blood pressure. Something we could do over here. If not, if it isn't really done. But generally, we're just trying to get awareness of blood issues that black people go through that usually is just unreally spoken about or just ignored. And but there is a high number of challenges that we have to really address, and blood pressure is definitely one of them. Without question, it's like a primary one, like that diabetes and a few other things is quite high. So, so the way we do the shows now is we're splitting it as in 50% is like not uplifting, but informational, uplifting, positive-ish, whatever. The other one is more reform from problematic behaviors that is challenging. That way, there's a balance of energy. Hopefully, so the two topics, they add a nice balance. So the second topic will be: do black women buy to? Oh wait a minute! Hold on. Was that? Oh, do black women buy? Right, it was. Now I'm realizing what the actual other topic was. Yeah, sorry, I'm going mad now. The other topic was what should we call it? Keeping family business private. Yeah, that's what the other one was. And I've got the videos, but I forgot I had them. So don't worry about it. So we're gonna, before we go, especially if we don't have any people jumping in to talk, I'll make sure because I've got 3 videos. Just this case study of why when you argue with your parents and your kids, don't go online. But the actual topic is black women buy expensive bags. This topic actually comes from China. As a matter of fact, let me play a video, and then we try to blackify it with the topic, and then make it somewhat constructive. So where's that brother? He made a what's it called? The term women. No, first black. Yeah, might be this one. We took it from what's his brother's name? It's Black 4. No, not Black 4.
Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the professor, and this is the moment of truth.
Some say as long as there's a tag saying made in China, the bag can never be luxury. However, in fact, more than 80% of the luxury bags in the world are made in China. But those luxury brands just won't acknowledge that. They take almost finished bags from China factories back to their own factories and just do the repackaging and logo installing, something like that. That way, the bags will appear at their boutiques as made in Italy or made in France. Those sophisticated European countries, which make you feel mysterious, royal, and thus luxury. Now, close your eyes. Let's just do a little, very easy experiment in your head, okay? Imagine that you have an Hermes bag, and suddenly the label on it changed from made in France into made in China, while everything else, like leathers, zippers, and hardware, remain the same. Do you suddenly feel that your bag is not as luxury as before? If you do, that means you have been misled and poisoned by the market campaign of those too long. Welcome to the real world. Now you see, those bags are made in China by our intelligent and diligent Chinese artisans. Let's not be poisoned and misled by the market campaign any longer and be a real person. Buy a bag from us, from our factory in China. See the real world for yourself. Birkin bag at Hermes boutique will cost you 38,000 USD. But what is the real cost out?
So this is Chinese. They're reacting to the Trump tariffs, I think, and this gentleman he's trying to let you know about what actually the bags you buy, how much they cost, and the solution to I guess whatever he's saying. But I think he's trying to, punish Western companies. But let's see.
The factory. Today, I'm going to break it down in front of you, step by step. First thing first, Hermes only use the leathers from the 3 top-level suppliers. One is called Beauty from Italy. The second is Weinheimer from Germany, and the third is Haas from France. One piece of Togo leather, the same leather as this one, will cost 450 USD. And one piece of the leather is only enough to make one Birkin, okay? The thread. And of course, for Hermes Birkin, the thread is also the best top level. It's called Fil Al Chinois from France. This is actually the Rolls Royce in thread. For each bag, the cost is 25 USD. And then the hardware. See, this hardware is called 316 hardware. It's also known as the ocean stainless steel because it can withstand the erosion of seawater. It's the best stainless steel. For one piece of bag, the hardware will cost 150 USD. The edge oil. This edge oil is imported from Italy. It's called heat sealed edge oil. For each bag, it will cost 50 USD. The interior lining, it used lambskin imported from France. For each bag, the cost will be 100 USD. And also inside, there is a zipper from Riri brand. And the zipper for one bag is 10 USD. And then the cost of human resource. The French artisans is much more expensive than Chinese artisans. To finish one bag, the human resource cost will be 600 USD. The package, this is not that expensive, it's 10 USD. So now to sum those up, the total cost will be 1,400 USD for one Birkin out of factory. But why Hermes will charge you 38,000 USD for one bag? That's because more than 90%.
He's saying that. I'm trying to catch up. He's saying that that bag there costs 1,395 to make, but it goes up more than 9%. When Hermes puts their logo on.
Of the price is paid for its logo. But if you do not care about the logo, you just want the same quality, same material, you can just buy from us. Because for our bags, we use exactly the same material, same leather, same hardware, same edge oil. The only difference is one, we don't have the logo, so we don't have to pay so much amount of money just for that logo. And second, our human resource is much cheaper. This is why this bag from our factory only costs you 1,000 USD, but even better quality and craftsmanship.
The Chinese.
So obviously they're attacking America or whatever to get them back, whatever. But it does highlight certain things about Chinese, the Chinese community. They own factories, they produce things, and they're big. They're connected really well within the world of distribution and production and stuff. And I think greetings, Sister Shireen. So do black women buy too many expensive bags? It's more of a smokescreen. That's not really the topic. The topic really is if you do, that's where your money's going if you buy those kind of stuff, right? But the bigger question is, well, one, you might say maybe you should buy less, right? Or go to China and get it from them. But people usually buy brands, and I should have played another video, How to Sell to the Negro. It's an old video from the 50s, like the psychology of understand why black people spend money on things and how it makes us feel a certain way, and all that kind of stuff. But I think the bigger question is, will it be good if Africa or the Caribbean or wherever create factories, production factories, isn't it? So you could have those African-based bags, or they enter the market, and we support, and obviously, hopefully, it wouldn't end up being 30 grand whatever. But pardon me. But I think that's where I was going with this kind of post, to try to segue it from this. And this is brother, I forget his name, Professor Truth. So I mean, I'm not gonna, he's a very good speaker, this guy. But let's listen to this for 4 seconds.
Chinese really know how to hit Americans where it hurts, in their ego. The Chinese are stepping up the tariff war by exposing that the vast majority of designer bags that so many American women are addicted to are actually made in part or in whole in China. They then double down by giving people links to where they can buy the bags direct from these Chinese factories that allegedly make them. According to the online videos that are going viral, what's been happening allegedly is that the bags are made in China and then shipped to the European corporations that paid for them, these big designer luxury brands, and then those companies...
how to. Oh yeah, you know what? At least I can find it. I might be able to download it.
Companies put their logos on the bags, and due to the way that the EU regulations are written, merely putting your logo on these items in Europe makes it where you can stamp them made in Italy, etc. Now, of course, you notice that I'm putting the word allegedly in here. These are the Chinese that we're talking about here, and there is a trade war going on, and these guys believe in hitting below the belt. And none of their claims have actually been proven, but considering the way that these corporations work, globalism and all of that, it's certainly plausible that this is exactly what's been going on. And the rules and regulations in the EU regarding what qualifies as made in such and such, or product of such and such, or assembled in so and so are not exactly cut and dried. The actual rules say in order to claim that something was made in an EU member country, the product has to have underwent its last substantial processing or manufacturing in that country. Substantial processing or manufacturing? Now, those are terms that are so vague, they're doing a lot of heavy lifting there. If all a company has to do is merely attach their label, does that qualify? You may think you're getting a luxury bag, but are you actually getting nothing more than an EU regulatory loophole? Now, the white media is poo-pooing these claims by the Chinese, and while the French and Italians and others do have facilities in Europe where their luxury items are made, the question is how much of the materials in their luxury items are actually made in Europe or even assembled there? Why is this sending shock?
I found the video. I'm gonna I'll probably download it 29 times. But let me get it now for you. It shouldn't take long to download. I hope we'll play that as well. Okay, go ahead. Let's carry this
waves because China is pushing a new type of economic warfare, psychological warfare, meant not just to destabilize the countries that are threatening them, but also the companies in those countries too. Branding is all about perceived value. So what the Chinese are doing is they're devaluing these white European designer labels by getting people to question everything about them that's supposed to make them so exclusive and authentic and attached to a long legacy of the world's finest handmade blah blah blah. China's psychological warfare campaign is officially part of trade war now. And to think the Chinese are using their main propaganda tool, TikTok, in order to put out the word about this. If even part of these luxury goods are sourced from China, or worse, assembled there, then that means the illusion of European luxury that people are trying to buy into will be broken. People, mostly women, who buy these bags do it because they know the bags are expensive, and that's about it. People who are actually rich don't run around in designer anything. You see Jeff Bezos wearing Fendi or Louis Vuitton. You see Mark Zuckerberg wearing Gucci. They own most of the wealth in America, and yet they don't believe in wearing their wealth. They believe in controlling their money and yours. Sadly, too many silly black folks do believe in wearing their wealth or driving it. And as I've always told you, when it comes to money, it don't pay to advertise. But worse than that, we tend to buy things that depreciate in value. That overpriced bag or that highly inflated car you bought lost 30% of its value the moment you took it off the lot, and its value will never go up again. And as common as these so-called luxury bags and shoes are today, are you really buying something that's an investment? Do you plan to sell it in the future? Get real. And yet you got some black folks who are so silly that they'll buy a bag that costs more than a car because they're trying to impress other people. The Chinese understand something that the Europeans figured out a long time ago, that you can monetize people's emotional insecurity. When people are desperate to be validated, desperate to be seen as a somebody by other people, they'll go to extreme lengths, stupid lengths. This is why all of these scam financial influencers you see who run around pretending to be millionaires is so proliferate. Forbes put an under 30 meg.
Let me stop that. A lot of little TikTok. Do you have? I have an account, but I don't. I really don't use TikTok. You know, but I should use it more. I've been saying, but I don't really use it. But I'll try to get more. I'll try to get more of it. But I found. I think I found. Let me see if this one. This was selling to the Negro. Selling to the Negro.
Have to say about selling to the Negro.
The secret of selling to the Negro is expressed in one word. That word is recognition. Now, there's nothing unusual about that. People want to be recognized. They need recognition. That's basic in all of us. But perhaps because he's had so little of it, the Negro needs even more. He needs to feel important and appreciated. This need is a very real and important one. It shows up even in many of the Negro's shopping habits. Anyone who sells or wants to sell to the Negro customer should know about some of these habits. Three habits in particular play a big part in every sales transaction. To begin with, most Negroes buy by brand. They ask for products by name. They're quick to turn down off-brands. You see, for a long time, the Negro has been sold a lot of shoddy, second-class merchandise. So now he asks for name brands in order to make sure he gets his money's worth. Buying by brand, that's the first important Negro buying habit. Now for the second. The Negro buys good quality merchandise. Symbols of quality and prestige are very important to the Negro customer. This woman, for example, is buying fine crystalware, but she is also buying the admiration and approval of her friends and relatives. It's a well-known fact that many Negro customers are influenced by the opinions of others. What their friends may think of a certain item often decides whether or not the sale is made. So remember, the Negro buys quality merchandise. That's the second important point. And here's the third thing to remember when selling to a Negro customer. When he specifically asks for one thing, don't try to sell him something else. Don't try to switch him at the point of sale. If you do, he'll probably react something like this.
Doesn't he think I've got the money to pay for it?
There's a reason for this reaction. Again, because he's had experience with cheap merchandise, the Negro resents being offered a substitute. He wants to be sold on quality, not price. The Negro buys by brand, he buys quality, and he doesn't like to be switched at point of sale. These are the keys to selling the Negro customer. Another point. The Negro family does things together, as a group. The family works as a unit. It lives as a unit, and it buys as a unit. When you sell to one member, you many times sell to all. It's also true that many places of entertainment are still closed to the Negro. So he spends more of his money for the things that are available to him, often for items that are considered luxuries. Another trait of the Negro market is the fact that it is a pre-sold market. We know that the Negro buys by brand, and he buys the brands that he knows something about. Where does the Negro buyer get this information? We know that Negro customers are turning more and more to the publications that are tailored specifically to their needs, that give them the news and the information that they want to read about. Many leading businessmen and companies already know this. That's why so many of them are taking this direct, sure route of reaching the Negro customer. The vice president of advertising of the Gruen Watch Company, for example, says this.
In many important cities throughout the United States, Negroes are important customers of the credit jeweler. Therefore, it seemed that Ebony magazine would be a very important advertising medium for us. We would say it was very well received, and from our viewpoint, a very successful campaign.
From the Remington Rand Company comes this statement.
Our records show that advertising in Ebony has been effective in many ways. As all good advertising should, it has built a terrific amount of goodwill and has brought a volume of sales and sales inquiries.
A representative of the Alaga Syrup Company makes this statement.
Because of Alaga's regard for the influence of Ebony in the Negro market, advertising space was doubled. Alaga's long experience in selling to Negroes now takes the most direct route to its best customers, reaching Ebony's 2.5 million audience in every issue.
And here are the statements of still other business leaders.
Yes, many business leaders are discovering the most direct and most efficient way of reaching the new Negro market. Look here at the results of the same advertisement in two different publications, Ebony and another general magazine. You can see that proportionately, more men and women read the ad in Ebony than the one in the other magazine. And they did a better job of remembering.
So what it showed, this is for those checking out how Europeans were trying to, they understand there was a market, the Negro market at the time, the black market. And they realized there was a percentage share so they could, try to sell to black people. So they find how to do it, and then their techniques of, playing on black people who's been excluded, insecurity, that kind of stuff, wanting the expensive stuff to feel better. But also it shows that magazines that's dedicated to black people worked, and it wasn't then other people wanted to infiltrate and not infiltrate, but buy marketing ads in there to sell their products to black people. So that this is why it's important. This is why it's important to actually own your own stuff, but then also have more black people advertise their stuff in your magazine.
It too. A greater percentage of readers noted, associated, and remembered the ad in ebony. But now, wait a minute. If the Negro market is so big and easy to reach, why aren't more companies going out after it? Well, often because of the feeling that there's something entirely different, unusual about selling to the Negro. But is it really so different? What do salesmen say? The successful salesmen who do a good job of selling in Negro communities. How do you go about getting the order?
How do I get the order? Well, to tell you the truth, I don't do anything. Anything different, that is. I've been calling on these accounts long enough to know that the Negro just wants to be treated like everybody else. No matter who you're calling on, a little friendliness and courtesy help a lot. But naturally, anybody resents being patronized or talked down to. So I usually call a man Mr. Brown, Mr. Smith, or Mr. whatever his name is, until he tells me to call him by his first name. And of course, I always stick to business. I stay away from talk about race or religion or politics. That goes for talk about Negro celebrities, too. You know, this business about what good prize fighters and singers the Negroes are. Who cares?
Especially because they're trying to really present things in a certain way, but you notice that they're trying to teach them, do not do stereotypical things when you sell to black people, you'll lose a sale. So, talking about the only black people they know as prize fighters and singers, and also, about the racial issues, and also what was missed there was, call the Negro by his surname unless he tells you to call him by his actual first name. And that was something that many white people back then didn't like doing. They also didn't like calling people by the actual name. They would use terms like boy and this kind of stuff. But this is saying if you want to make a sell, you have to then go against what you normally do.
A guy's in business. No matter what color his skin is, he's interested in making a living, in making money. That's uppermost in his mind. I guess maybe what I'm saying is that I try to help any way I can. Sometimes with displays or ad materials, or an idea once in a while. The important thing is that if it helps push sales for the dealer, it helps push them for me, too.
Handle the Negro account just like any of your others. Don't patronize. Stick to business. Get interested in the account. Pitch in and help any way you can. Sounds like pretty good sales advice. That's the secret of selling the Negro.
Okay, let's go back. So yeah, that's selling to the Negro. Oh, remove. So yeah, we're talking about obviously China trying to undermine Europe and America, most brands, by saying you can just buy the products before they get the logo on here for like 90% cheaper. And they were saying like black people might be a part of that buying habit as well. I don't know. Black women, you will let me know. But also, I wanted to show this video as well about, well, wouldn't it be good if African or Caribbean or African American or Afro-Brazilian or whatever, wherever the land is, we create our own factories and hopefully, more Afro tailored style kind of bags or whatever the product is. And I came across this with Brother Toure in
Of Ouagadougou on a historic morning as crowds gathered to witness a milestone that promises to reshape Burkina Faso's economic future, the grand inauguration of the nation's first mass-production flip-flop factory. Led by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, this event isn't just about footwear. It's a bold statement of progress, self-reliance, and sustainable development. For a country long dependent on imports for basic goods, this factory symbolizes a turning point. But what does this mean for Burkina Faso, and why should the world take notice? Let's dive into the story behind this transformative project and explore how it aligns with a broader vision for Africa's industrial future. At its core, this factory addresses a simple yet profound need: affordable, locally made footwear. Flip-flops are a staple in Burkina Faso, worn by millions daily. Yet, until now, most were imported from abroad, draining foreign currency reserves and stifling local innovation. Captain Traoré's vision flips this narrative. By investing in domestic production, Burkina Faso isn't just making shoes, it's reclaiming economic sovereignty. The factory's launch aligns with a national strategy to diversify the economy, reduce reliance on volatile global markets, and create jobs for Burkinabe youth, who make up over 60% of the population. But the implications run deeper than economics. Walking through the factory's sprawling production floor, one is struck by its commitment to sustainability. Unlike foreign competitors, this facility prioritizes eco-friendly practices, from recycling water used in manufacturing to sourcing rubber and cotton locally. By cutting down on imports, the factory slashes its carbon footprint, a critical step for a nation grappling with climate change. The use of Burkinabe materials also strengthens regional supply chains. Farmers in Bobo Dioulasso, for instance, now have a guaranteed market for their cotton, while artisans in Ouahigouya supply hand-woven straps. This circular economy model ensures that every franc spent on a pair of flip-flops circulates within Burkina Faso, uplifting communities from farm to factory. Yet, the factory's true genius lies in its human-centric design. Over 85% of its workforce are Burkinabe under 35, many of whom received free technical training through government partnerships. Take Aissata, a 24-year-old single mother from Koudougou, who went from selling vegetables at a roadside stall to overseeing quality control. "This job isn't just about wages," she shares. "It's about dignity. I can now send my daughter to school and dream of owning land." Stories like hers underscore the project.
So let's play a bit of this. So we'll just segue in and saying that we're talking about, China trying to undercut Europe with the practices of selling bags in Europe and America for 50 grand, 20 grand, whatever it is. And then, they're saying you can just buy it from them before the loan comes in for 1,000 or whatever. Then they were saying that, okay, well, there's black women, is that something they're into? It's quite a lot of money to spend, but, it's your money, if it makes you feel good. And then also, like, maybe spending less, so go to China if you really want. Or a bigger conversation, like, what about starting factories in the Caribbean, in Africa? I'm not saying you should be charging 30 grand for it. I mean, it's not for me to say whatever. But, could be an idea that's something to talk about. And we're looking at Burkina Faso, obviously, with Africa, there's the kind of the ongoing revolution of ideas and certain countries, more so in the French-speaking countries, of trying to take more control, remove some of foreign dominance and get more self-sustaining ideas, factories, and locally supported initiatives. And this is a demonstration of that. So that seems to be a good step in the right direction. Good stuff. Let me get rid of that. And then we watched a video called Senator Negro, a 1954 video that was given to marketing companies in the States who were trying to up their market share by selling their products to the black community at that time. And they were given it, and that's what I'm trying to demonstrate to people, that with black people, when other groups, especially white people, have been trying to include black people in certain initiatives or try to make money of black people, it's a science. It's something that they've studied and they've shared information and they really refine. It's and it really is, it is. That's why when you see black people do certain things, understand that there is groups dedicated to sell to, or convince, or to persuade, and they'll use every market technique they can. And before you know it, you're in it, and you don't even know you're in it. So that's why just having the concept of supporting black businesses, trying to start black businesses, black families, but black economics, and how to create concepts that that maximize those. I should be talking about that this weekend in some podcasts. So I'm making up to make sure I bring that up. And so, yeah, there you go. So this week we're talking about, let's see, the two topics were, let me get rid of that, remove. Two topics were, first one was black barbers blood pressure checks. We find out if barbers and salons help check blood pressure in your area. So the state 6 years ago, and there was initiatives where people go to the barbers, check their blood pressure. It's a relaxing place. They're there. Some people use the same barber all their life, or a decade or so they're comfortable, and they're going to be there. So they said it was a very good initiative, and we were asking, could we do that around the world, in England, in Canada, in Africa, you name it. It could be a good thing. Blood pressure is something that really affects the black community quite negatively, quite in a high amount. There's at least info on it. It's important how most people are affected, and if you do have high blood pressure, it isn't like, oh no, it's just something that you can gradually check, because the issue of blood pressure is long sustaining high blood pressure eventually wears organs away and might cause one day a heart attack or a stroke or something like this. So there are ways you can eat and live to tackle that. But just knowing if you're on that kind of spectrum, we see if the barbers could be a part of that. But you can bypass barbers and go to the shop and buy a blood test, £20 to get your blood pressure test. You have it in your house. You can check it every day and see what's doing. And forgive me, I've got a cold, by the way. So it's like I'm dying here. Literally, it's like my nose is really blocked, so I can't breathe. It's bad. But what was I saying? Yeah. But we'll talk about it. Would it be good if black people, if there was a black blood pressure company? That'd be cool. How would that look? A machine that's designed to be Afro-centered or black-centered or whatever. Cool imaginary exercise in your head. And then what's the second one? Do black people buy too many expensive bags? It was more of a trick question. We're not really concerned too much about black women's spending habits like that. Although we're not. We're just saying that if China trying to undercut America and Europe, are you part of that? Are you spending 30 grand on stuff you don't need to? Could you maybe go to China and buy it £1,000 cheaper without the logo, or not buy it at all, or try to look for a black brand? And if not, could we try to incentivize Africa and the Caribbean to start be producers like China was? There was something that guy said at the end. Did I get rid of it? He said something right at the end that I thought was quite cool. Let's see if I can go there. I think this one. This is that? No, man.
And be one just for a piece of
that your bag is not as luxury as before. If you do world.
You see, they understand how perceived value actually works. Do you? Regardless, it's social status on white society's terms that we're talking about here. If you're someone who actually forked out hundreds, if not thousands of dollars just for a piece of leather with a logo attached to it, and it wasn't based on its quality or your need for it, but rather based on you wanting to have other people look at you differently, then all that's going to happen is you're going to help some white company get the bag, while all you're going to get is left holding the bag. Good day, and be one.
Big up the video there. So that's the two topics now. Now, I was meant to cover another topic that I did, but I'll cover it now anyway. Why not? And if you've got any questions on that, let us know. Hope you learned something today. Hopefully you're inspired or some kind of something. Feel free to jump in and talk if you like, or give a message. But there was a topic that was going to be this week, but I took it off, and that was, what is it called? It was, where is it? Family disputes. Let me put it in there. We discuss why it's important to keep family disputes away from the internet. Let me copy and paste that. We actually tackled this topic a few weeks back. It's very important. The thing is, someone like me, I go to Speaker's Corner, and I'm used to trolling and that kind of stuff, and going on shows and that. But if you're not used to it, it can be very overwhelming. Like, and you just don't know. Like, if you have an opinion that someone disagrees with, well, that one person might think they're talking to you, but there might be a million people who have that same opinion. If you go viral, they might all try to reach out to you or make content about you. And then in those content about you, there might be videos describing you. And then you might get some people who feel away and they try to contact your business or whatever it is. So that's why I'm saying that if you have a disagreement with your family or friends, keep off the internet. So I came across this video, African family in the UK. You probably seen it. I don't know. I won't play all of it. I won't. Let me. Sorry if you're gonna hear some shouting. I'm gonna mute it over. Why does it not come up? Sorry about that. I'm trying to get rid of this. You know what? The new. I'm getting rid of all this crap. Get rid of that. It should just start playing. It should be on the screen and just play. It's very bad UX. Here it is. Don't. So let me turn it off so that you see this movement. All right. So I won't play that. I don't want to scream about. Oh, there she is. Is her talking? So what it was is there's a sister, and I think she found out that her husband, who called a young girl his niece, but I think she's found that actually it's his daughter from a bygone past relationship, and she wasn't best pleased. So she made a video shouting at him, and then but people were more concerned that the way she was towards the niece or the / daughter. And I think she released this video. She streamed it and it went viral. And I think she's now making a video about her experience. So let's have a sneak peek at this.
Hello guys, I'm the lady in that video. I'm just making this video to tell everyone that I'm alright and everyone is alright. The children are fine. Chioma is fine. Chizaram is fine. The police came and we sorted it out. They only asked that he leaves the house for now. That he leaves the house for now. And yeah, you guys wouldn't know what it feels like. But yeah, I saw a lot of comments, and I wanted to take down the video, but it was already late. And
yeah, the pain you feel afterwards will be much more than the pain you feel while you're doing it. And that's why you got to be careful not to just put your information out on the internet if you can. Especially if you just, I don't know what you're trying to do. If your husband or your wife does something that's not best pleasing, best if you can sort it with your, the elders or family, intervention or just separation for, when you work it out. But definitely not go to the internet because no one will be on anyone's side. It's more like a kind of bloodfest you find. I think that's what this sister's find out.
To those of you who are bashing me and saying a lot of things, you never know what it feels like. And to you, it might be nothing, but I am me. And that's fine. I just want you guys to know everybody's fine. And that's what matters now.
That's the daughter that walked by, but I'm not trying to stir nothing. This is just me looking at this video. That look was very peculiar. Hold on. I'm not trying to stir nothing. I'm just saying, hold on. Boy.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Very peculiar. But I'm reaching. Clearly I'm reaching. But then this is part one. Part two was now with the sister here with her husband's daughter. Her husband's daughter, that's what I guess that's what she is. So let's see part two. Sorry about
everyone.
Yeah. What? I guess this shouldn't start that way.
Lady in that video, and this is Chioma. We've done this off camera, and but we just decided to do it on camera, just so that people can be abreast from the video that is going on out there. I have accepted Chioma as my daughter, and I'm really, really sorry for, putting her out there. I am very, very sorry. I didn't mean to. It was out of anger, and I know that the anger was not targeted at her. And I am very, very sorry. I'm not ashamed to say I'm sorry to her, because she is my daughter, and I will treat her just like I'm going to treat my own children. And I love her so much. And yeah, I promise to treat her right. Stand up. I promise to treat her right. She's going to be staying here with me. And I've just decided to say this to everyone. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, that's the door. And then this is the last one with the husband. Husband, this one here. There we go.
But my wife name. I'd like to plead with you to please desist from doing that. There's an adage that says you cannot beat a child and tell the child how to cry. I do understand it is very important that we be in control of our emotions at all times. But it's also very important to understand that we are all built differently. This I can say for a fact. My wife is a very caring, loving, emotional, and happy person. She cannot hurt a fly, not even in a million years. And this I can guarantee with my life on the line. I also understand that the video portrayed or gave a wrong impression of my wife. That's not who she is. The anger there was not channeled at Chioma, our daughter. It was simply to elicit a response from me, for which I take full responsibility. So please, once again, I'm begging and I'm pleading that you please desist from calling my wife names, as that is not who she is. Thank you.
All right. So what we're tackling now, we're tackling the question why we discussed why it's important to keep family disputes away from the internet. Yeah, try to do that. I know sometimes things happen that it makes you so. I mean, remember back in the old days, before social media, that was an option. So I don't know why people think it's an option to things go viral very quickly, especially if it's a positive thing, probably won't go viral. If it's something negative and people are suffering, yeah, people probably share it. And then if you're not used to people just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people just giving their opinion, it will affect you very negatively. Also, some people they're unaware that the way they interact with people might not be in the best interest of themselves or the people. So this sister was probably trying to garner sympathy from the fact that she found out her husband had a child without her knowing. But because of how she treated that child in that video, people didn't care. They were more concerned that, I think she might have even asked the girl to get out or something. I can't remember. I'm not going to play it. Don't have anyway. But yeah, so this is just it's a cautionary tale about your family and stuff. I've seen videos of friends and family go viral, and their wife and their husband screaming in the street, and then someone's releasing it and all that kind of stuff. Try to minimize that. Try to have some kind of control of the. It's hard, decorum. Try to keep family stuff private if you can, but obviously it is hard because we are dealing with stress in the world, and many of us have high blood pressure, as we've found out today. So, but this is why we practice black belt, you see. So, family, I've been waffling for 1 hour 20 minutes. We were joined by a very important barber guest, Reverend Lee, I think it was. But if there's any other questions, let us know. I'm going to be on I'm going to be on a show soon, so I've been invited to talk about. They said it was about identity, but then they said, it's mainly about relationships, mixed relationships. Or what do they call it? Yeah, and that's usually what everything I say. That's usually what triggers people the most about the importance of black men marrying black women, or being with black women in general. So I think that's what they're going to want to talk about mainly. And I suspect if it's black men in the podcast, whatever it is, it'll be very triggering. But anyway, so I'll let you know how that goes, and maybe I can bring the video here to see if anything learns from it. That should be tomorrow, so maybe Sunday. I can't remember. I'll find it. If it's even going ahead still. So that's the next thing I'm jumping on. But man, I've got this cold, man. I can't even breathe. Not good. My family, don't forget this show is set aside for the community. So if there's anyone who wants to have a segment open to cover psych, or they want to talk about psych, or they got things they want me to cover, let me know. We try to split it 50-50, so one topic is about something uplifting or thoughtful or historic or something, while the other is more concerning, like reforming, like, don't do this, or maybe we can do this better, or try not to take that, or blah blah blah. That's what we're gonna go. But family, we're gonna go. Don't forget to tell a friend we were live, and catch us every week for 10 o'clock Friday. But anyway, my nose is messed, so I'm gonna go. Well, we have a fantastic one, and Black Batman to all, and to all Black Batman. Oh yeah, have a good one. Oh yeah, go on. End stream. Bye.